It was a dark and stormy night, and Mark's parents had to go to the supermarket to run some errands, but left Mark behind. The sleeping Mark awoke to the sound of thunder, lightning flashing at his window, jolting him awake. He quickly checks the drawer under his bed and sees candy wrappers of his secret stash of snacks. Phew, he thought, it was just a dream. However, he is disappointed at the fact that there were only sweets. His stomach growling, he closes the drawer and slumps out of bed, and gently opens his bedroom door to go downstairs to find a midnight snack. He checks the cupboards, nothing. He checks the fridge, nothing. He decides to ignore his hunger and wait for his parents' return, and sits on the couch to turn on the TV and relax. He then remembers that a little over a year ago, he found himself in a similar situation. It was a stormy summer night, just like this one, and he woke up and saw his older brother Zach watching TV. Mark asks his brother where their mom and dad went, to which he explains their quick shopping trip to the supermarket. Mark then complained about his hunger, prompting Zach to check the pantry and fridge, which were both empty. Zach then remembered their parents bringing food from the basement and offered to go check, but Mark quickly stopped him, reminding Zach that they were told never to even go near the door to the basement. They had recently moved in, and the basement was in the middle of a renovation when progress suddenly stopped. Mark and Zach's parents never explained why, and always brushed the question aside. Zach assured his brother that he'd be fine and that he'd watch his step. It was too late, as Zach had already closed the door behind him, and it was the last time Mark had ever seen his older brother. From then on, he was forbidden to talk about it, and everyone was supposed to treat it as though he never existed to begin with. The TV shut off due to the weather interfering with the satellite dish's signal, so the room was instead engulfed in the sound of a rainy ambiance. It was like that for so long that Mark had almost fallen back asleep when all of a sudden he heard the sound of a crying baby. Where is it coming from? He thought to himself. We don't have a baby here. I must be dreaming, he concluded. Then silence. No more rain, no more thunder. And the sound of the baby was then replaced by the sound of a dog, howling and whimpering. It was making it harder for Mark to sleep, so he knew he wasn't dreaming. He noticed the sound was coming from beyond the door of the basement, which was weird, because they didn't have a dog, nor could they keep one, as his dad was allergic. However, he knew all he could do was ponder, as he remembered what happened to his older brother and his parents' strict warning not to even go near it. The sound of rustling leaves and the hoots of an owl drowned out the sound of the dog, till silence filled the room once more. Mark thought that he could finally get some sleep, till he heard the faint sound of a crying boy. The soft, quiet voice that rang the words, "Help me," in Mark's ears made it hard to resist. It wasn't until he finally recognized that the annoying voice was so similar to that of his brother that he took a genuine interest in going closer to the door of the basement to hear better. He got up from the couch, each step towards the door heavier than the last. Thoughts of the voice possibly belonging to his brother and him crying out for help suppressed the warnings and experiences that once haunted him. He couldn't resist opening the basement door any longer. Fog was being emitted in the tiny gap on the bottom of the door, and scratching at the door could be heard, but Mark didn't care. He was too determined. He could be together with his brother again, after so long, and that is the only thing that matters to him now. Mark gently opens the door, his heart racing, and a creaking sound follows. Mark's eyes shoot wide open, his jaw dropping, horror written all over his face. he gasped.
Silence.